I've started off with a white undercoat. Next I've used Korax white, and I'm using this for areas like the cables, these stone-like pieces here, and I'm also using it for areas like inside these pieces. And as you can see, some of these cables around the back as well. And the next coat I'm going to use is Fenrisian Grey, and what I want to do is I want to apply the paint especially on the outer side of these cables, but without covering the inside pieces. And the best way to do this is by applying it with the side of your brush. So you just pick out those top surfaces. It's a subtle colour difference, but it will make sense a bit later on. Areas like this one and this one here, the same colour was used as what was used on these. However, it was thinned down with water to try and get the paint into the recessed areas and to go around these little nodules. Same with these here. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my main colour to start painting it all in, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's finished. And Corvex Black is the colour we're going to use. The next colour we're using is Scavenge Blight Dinge. This side I've covered, this side I haven't. So you can see I'm just trying to cover the top areas. So I've covered the top of this. You can see this how it's got two halves, so the top half I've covered, the bottom half I haven't. Top of these circular plates, top edge of the plates. So I'm just going along these top areas to create a bit of light. For these bladed areas, what I want to do is break it down at the bottom, which is easy enough to do. All you've got to do is make sure you don't have too much paint on your brush to start off with, and just cover it quickly with your first coat, and then your second coat you apply again at the top. So your top you end up with a solid coat, and the bottom will be a little bit more broken up, and it'll look a little bit messy at the beginning. It'll look a bit better later on when we've put another coat on. The main thing I want to aim for with these is I want to keep the dark areas dark, so then when we do a bit more work on the lighter areas, gives you a nice contrast in the colours, and by having some dark areas there it'll make the lighter areas pop. Those areas where I had a rough coat with the last paint at the ends, I've applied a wash which is 50-50 Corvus Black with Lamia Medium, and I've just covered those areas to help blend the colour in some. Next, with the Mechanica Standard Grey, we want to pick out the edges, but I'm not picking out the bottom edges. So for example, I would leave this alone, even though I'm going to cover the side edges and top edges. Next, all of these little circles, I've gone over them with the Korax White, and I've applied a couple of coats. And now with the Lofen Blue, we want to paint these two areas and also the orb at the back. And then what we're going to do is we're going to paint all those orbs again, only the next time around we're painting the orbs with Flaskets yellow. With White Scar, you've got these little ribs on the inside, so I've applied some white paint about halfway up, and also I've painted a ring of white on the inside. Next, with the same paint, I've had 1 part paint to 3 parts water, and we're going to cover these with this paint. Main thing to remember is to apply the same amount of paint to both. If you put too much on one from the other, then the effect's going to look different on the two of these plinths. Now while that's drying, areas like these cables and these sections, we're going to paint those now with a 1 part Lofen Blue and 2 parts Lamia Medium. And where with this I applied quite a heavy wash of the white. With this blue you want to be not so heavy in the quantity. Next, there's still a few more areas where I want to paint them blue. They've previously been painted in white first, these ones at the back, and there's some at the back here, but instead of using the same blue, I'm using Nighthaunt Blue instead. Gives it a slightly darker colour away from where the main energy is coming from, so I thought making them look slightly darker would help to represent that fact. Next, we're going to add a bit more colour to the yellow circles, and this is the colour we're going to use. And we can take it straight out of the pot, just make sure you haven't got too much on your brush at the time. Next, I want to work on this orb here. I'm using a lighter blue than the blue which is already on the orb. I'm actually using an old pot of paint here called Ice Blue, so just want to find something that's lighter and add some Lamia Medium in to thin it down. And the orb has got these points here, so I'm going to work from off that point, and I want to rough, not a straight line, but a rough line going from that point heading up to the centre. It's a bit hard to see at the moment, but once you've got your initial line, like I said, not a straight line, going up from each of these 4 points. Afterwards, I've had a few other lines connecting in. I want to continue using the same colour, and we want to add it into a few areas to help emphasise a bit of a glow coming from the orb. To make the glow work, once the first coat is dry, apply several other coats and build it up gradually, and it will look better in time. Those jagged lines we put on, we now want to put a piece of white into that jagged lines, make those stand out. The last few pieces I want to cover on this video are these areas here. I covered these in my video for painting the Triarch Stalker, so if you want to see how to paint those, it's in that video. Next, with this paint here, which is a Szeras purple. I use that first to paint the engine areas. Next, with some thinned down pink, I'm going to apply the pink into the centre, very watered down. So once the water's evaporated, it will leave the pink paint in the background. Being it's an alien race, I wanted to make it look like the engines were somewhat of a different colour. So now the Silent King throne is finished. If you like the video, remember to like, share, and click on the button on the lower right hand side to subscribe.